over. Bring him over on the show.
Wait. Aaron Gordon is in the Winners Lounge?
Hold on.
That dude, I know that Winners Lounge, much like Aaron Gordon, has that dog in it.
Yeah, we got a little dog here. He can hop up on the lap. We got a dog on the set. Got that dog in us right now. You never know what's going on.
Yeah.
Just put him on D-line.
We got that dog in us.
This is our first ever.
There we go.
Who is this? Who's this? My best friend?
What's his name?
Copper.
Oh.
Aaron Gordon.
There you go. All right.
Hey, dude, we got that dog in us,
I hope he
baby.
pees right
This
now.
podcast.
Aw. You guys remember what happiness felt like?
When was that from?
Man, that was a year ago.
4 days ago.
Like, yeah. Oh, that's right. It was only 4 days ago. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the DNVR show. Live from the Toyota Lounge, driven by your front range Toyota stores. Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. Happy birthday, Eric.
Happy birthday.
Hey, guys.
Happy birthday.
Did you guys get me what I wanted, which was crushing sadness?
Yeah.
Oh, you did.
Yeah, I got it. Just for you to bathe in. Well, we were trying to think of, is there any videos where Eric is happy? And then we realized there was only that one time.
Just the one time.
There was that dog.
Yep. Listen, guys, I'm a simple man, and I'm simply miserable most times.
Yeah. And now you're old and miserable.
I just turned an age that's like not.
How old?
Nobody knows. Don't ever tell. I don't think you should ever tell
I just
people
turned
how
an
old you
age that's it's like you can't even like glance it off.
are. Yeah.
I just turned 46.
Oh, that's younger than I thought.
You look great.
You look good for 46.
You
Yeah,
genuinely look great.
Dude, but 46. Dude, that's a
Yeah.
rough one. We're rounding up now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Enjoy the back nine, Eric. Take your time.
Dude, I think I'm on the back one.
Yeah. I think you might be right. Guys, we got a great show lined up for you today. I can't believe how well I'm transitioning to the off season. I'm surprising even myself. I'm pumped for today's show.
Yay.
You're,
Guys?
Adam's happiest when others are sad.
Kale? Talk up here, buddy.
I always say that working with Adam must have been like making a movie with Tom Cruise during the pandemic. You know, every day you're like terrified and sad, and he's like, everyone ready to go?
Scientology, baby.
Yeah.
He's like,
You guys
before this
don't
first
feel
take,
it? His pupils are
Yeah.
the size
Let's
of
all
couch.
go to the basement.
before this first take, everyone look me in my eyes.
Yeah. Tell me it's gonna be a good day.
First of all, you want to know something about Tom Cruise? Great movies.
I couldn't agree more.
It's great movies. Today's going to be a great show. We're going to go on a witch hunt today, boys.
That's very Tom Cruise-ish.
a witch hunt?
Yeah, I could see him going on a witch hunt.
Yeah,
Well-
I feel like they're anti-witch. That seems right.
Later on in the show, we're going to hop on a time machine and go back to
that could be
the
it
most
too.
recent moment in time that you could save the Denver Nuggets season to maybe try to figure out where things all went wrong. We're also going to talk about the top storyline of the offseason, and then later in the show, we'll have a little fun. Who do you least want to win the title now?
Oh, I like
Because I was
that.
going to ask who do you most want to win, and you guys didn't want any of them to win, so I'm going to have to
Yeah.
ask it a different way. To help me out, Brennan Votes in the house.
What's up, fellas? I thought today would be a much brighter day, and it's darker and rainier. But you know,
Basketball gods are crying.
yeah,
We can use the moisture. We can use
use the moisture.
So
I'm
true.
I'm glad to have the show though, to be honest, because I felt so is despondent the word?
Yeah, man. These shows are like when we were in the pandemic, and it was literally the only thing that happened in
Yeah.
that day for everyone on Earth.
The anchor of your day.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm just wandering.
Yeah, I was like, I should get out of bed. And I'm like, I'm not even in bed. I didn't even realize. Like, everything just feels like being in bed.
I was actually on this show.
Yeah, dude. And then but you have something to look forward to.
The old guy is D-line.
That's right, guys. Let me impart some wisdom upon you.
Ooh.
It doesn't get better.
Everybody's always lying. They always say it gets better. The golden age. Yeah, come on. And then over there, rounding out the show, Harrison Wind.
Am I still going to be on this show when I'm 46 years old? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe.
If Jokic is still playing,
Maybe.
They won't
Yes.
be. He won't be.
but he won't be. He definitely won't be. All right, guys, we're going to get right into our segments because I kind of like them today. We used to call this blame game.
Sure.
I don't know, though. Blame. The Nuggets were good this year. They won 57 games. They went to game 7. They were up 20. They blew it. Some stuff went wrong. So just call it blame. You don't win every year, man. Now that we're a couple days removed, you can say it. So instead, we're going to go on a witch hunt, which means not at all. Oh, look at this. Hey, this is good work here. Look at
Oh
that.
yeah.
Oh, there's a real. Oh, wait, it's me?
Are we
I'm
burning?
I'm the witch?
Kale.
We're all-
We've
we're-
given you too
We're
much
literally all
power.
burning at Kale's hand.
Oh, my
no.
gosh. I
This is what
can't
happens
believe
when
it.
Kale makes the graphics.
Yeah, Kale gets the
Someone should've
graphics. I
checked
get
it.
burned to
He's
death.
been like, I've been waiting for this for 5 years.
We're all getting burned. I guess.
Why am I
What
so
Kale
tiny?
actually goes home and thinks about it.
That's so true. And it's a witch hunt instead of blame game because I feel like a witch hunt don't have to necessarily be totally fair. You know, you don't have to be totally fair.
Are you implying that the witch trials were not fair?
They weren't always fair, man. Sometimes it wasn't actually a witch that they burned. So
I remember that.
Today we're going to do that. I'll let you go first, D-Line, because you have the most hate in your heart on the panel.
I do, most definitely.
If we were back, during the witch trials, I feel like you would burn the most people. So
without question.
We'll let you take the first crack at it. On a witch hunt, who did this to us?
Oh my God, who did this to us? Well, you're talking about just specifically
not winning the title this year.
Not winning the title. Jamal Murray, you're a witch.
Oh no,
you're a witch, but you're my favorite witch. Which witch? You didn't bring out your magical powers, man. You saved your secret potions, and now you're going to try and use them for Canada. Your Eye of Newt didn't come out soon enough.
The way you said this was almost as if he threw the season to prepare for Canada.
I mean, let's prove to me that he didn't.
All right.
Prove to me that he didn't. He didn't show up enough in the playoffs. He did show up in the biggest moment, but unfortunately we were all on fire at that point. Jamal Murray. For shame.
Yeah. I mean, it's the easiest one. Like, if Jamal Murray's just better, the Nuggets are still playing right now. It's the easiest one.
I think it is the easiest one. Do you agree with it at least a little bit, Harris? I'll let you get to your take.
For sure. I mean, for sure. Like,
oh, man.
You just look at Jamal Murray's season as a whole. It was a disappointment. And the biggest disappointment was that he didn't stay healthy. His stats, looked pretty similar to last year. His three-point percentage took a big jump. But I really feel like his injury had a trickle-down effect on everything else. Because then, maybe you play the starters a bit more because you lose his production. You don't trust the bench because you need the starters. So I just feel like that had a ripple effect on the season, and it put a lot more strain on Nikola Jokic, put a lot more strain on a lot of the other starters as well. And then you get to the playoffs, and like I've been saying this whole week, the fact that they just looked out of gas is the biggest reason that I pinpoint as to why they flamed out. And a lot of that goes back to how they were overworked in the regular season, and a lot of that is because Jamal Murray missed so many games.
That's very linear of you, and I think it's actually pretty fair. The Nuggets may have had a more relaxed regular season, and certainly a more relaxed last couple months if he was there to carry it. And you had a point we were talking about just now that I really liked about Murray's. Everybody has on-court responsibilities, but also spiritual responsibilities. He had one to this team that maybe went unfulfilled.
Yeah, and we can take it back to some of the vets who left and start thinking about maybe the core as needing to assume some veteran responsibilities, and particularly Jeff Green. I got an interesting DM from a fan of the show, Ethan. I think your last name is Holiday, forgive me, who asked me, remind me who it was that said Jeff Green was the player who took losses the hardest last season.
That was wild,
Vlaco.
man.
That was Vlaco.
We were so shocked.
I know.
That was maybe the most shocking thing a player has ever said on the show.
Probably. Yeah.
So, all right, it's one thing that Jeff Green leaves and takes that with him, but who's going to assume that mantle? And I know that Jeff was a veteran role player, and so this might seem different. I kind of think it was up to Jamal Murray to be that guy this year, the guy who took losses the hardest, the guy who brought the fire, because fire is his... I mean, it's something he wields when he succeeds, right? And it's a core of his identity as a competitor. And I just thought, while his answer was fair and honest about what happened this year and how hard it was to try to repeat, thought it was revealing. Murray kind of admitted he didn't have the same motivation and fire and hunger this year. And I kind of thought maybe his responsibility was to find it and to bring more of it.
There was a quote afterwards where... after the game, and you referenced this on the show, where Malone talked about going from the hunter to the hunted.
Yeah, Murray. Yep.
Murray did, and how it didn't necessarily give the same juice. Like, it was exhausting because you were taking everybody's best shot, but also that hunger wasn't there because naturally, I think this team has a lot of guys who view themselves as you counted us out, now we're going to prove you wrong, as opposed to the other one. It kind of reminds me in the opposite direction. This is the dumbest metaphor in the history of the show.
I can't wait.
Do you guys ever see the movie Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Babyface Nelson, when they call him Babyface, he loses all of his... He's like robbing the banks and he's loving it. He's the big, and then they call him Babyface and he just totally wilts. I almost feel like that's the Nuggets. Is they're like, we're the badasses you never cut out. And they're like, no, you're the best. We're the best. We're the best.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
What?
I'm sure there's been a worse metaphor than that on this
Yeah,
show.
it might have been a worse one, honestly. I'm not even
That
sure
was pretty
mine
good.
made sense, to be
think it
honest
made
with you,
sense.
but we tried it
Yeah,
here.
that was pretty good.
I think, though, the core point here is the Nuggets need somebody that brings that kind of swagger and energy. And it's actually not on any one person. I think but there are guys who it's like, that's your role on this team, is to be the bravado of our team. And I definitely think the Nuggets didn't have it. And more importantly, Murray is that guy. But when he gets punked, there's a difference. But like Jokic and Murray can't get punked.
Right.
If Jokic gets punked, you're kind of like, oh crap, are we bad? Our best player is defenses are completely down. And then with Jokic, that no longer really ever happens. He has good and bad games, but he never gets
Right.
punked. Murray kind of got punked in this one. And if he's your bravado, and he's getting punked, by the way, by the other team's bravado, the other team's guy, there's a little bit of a like, okay, well, we're going to have to do this one without that. And that's tough.
Yeah, I was just hopeful that he would be the guy that took all those losses personally. And again, these guys are not done growing. So that could be something he learns to bring to his game and maybe one of his takeaways from this year. But
Who would you go then? I'll let you go next. If not Murray, we got burned. Turns out, not a witch.
No, oh, man.
Oh, man, we got that one wrong.
It's just burning.
Michael Porter Jr.
Oh,
was
my God.
That's why I went to
The
exact
call
guess.
is coming from inside the house.
Jeez. He's going to take off that jacket. He's going to be wearing a Celtic shirt.
Oh, no. Et tu,
and they
Brute?
should trade him for OG. Just kidding.
Whoa.
No,
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah, OG's availability really shined through this year.
I know, it's true.
No, I look. Here's the thing. This doesn't feel harsh because Porter stood up and said the same thing to the locker room,
Right.
and Katie tweeted it out, and he's right, man. Game 7, to me, maybe the biggest difference was Porter missing a bunch of makeable threes that I just felt throughout the swings of the game. It's not just about the margin and looking at the box scores, but you watch the game enough, you know the moments where this is a big shot, they need to respond. And I thought often there were open looks for Porter and he missed them. And it's not just that. You know, I thought what to me was, I'll just say most disappointing as someone with high expectations, was he actually had 2 good games to start the series. Then he fell behind the pace a little bit, which was concerning. And then he looked flat out shook in game 7. The miss off the backboard.
That was the worst miss.
It was jarring.
That was that worse than Paul George off the side of the backboard? The same.
Yeah, he just didn't happen to be on the side.
Yeah, that
If he was on the right corner, that would have been the side of the
It
backboard.
wouldn't even have hit side of the backboard. though.
Behind the
It
backboard?
would have just been an air ball on the other side of the basket.
Yeah.
And we've seen Porter have terrible games and then hit those big shots. We've seen Porter have better series in playoffs than he gets credit for. So that, to me, on press row, we all just turned and made eye contact. Like, what just happened? It felt like the beginning of the end to me. So I just thought Porter in that game had room to be a difference maker, and he was in the wrong direction.
His defense, too, man.
Yeah.
What happened? He took a step back as a defender in these playoffs, I feel like.
In this series, for sure.
Yeah. Like, what happened, man? He spent the last couple of years really leveling up defensively. And he wasn't a guy you could really target. He wasn't a guy that defenses went at. And that felt like it reverted back this last series.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you have any thoughts on Michael Porter? I mean, is he high on your list here?
I mean, of course.
Number 2 behind Murray? For the whole season. I mean, part of this is we can't just be the prisoner
Yeah,
of the
that's
moment
tough
here.
because Porter had a great season.
Yeah.
Well, I
Regular
mean, that's
season.
the thing. I
And
mean,
first
listen, there weren't problems. I wasn't looking at the issues coming out of the season. It was specifically in the second round of the playoffs and the first as well. Like, yeah, Michael Porter Jr. was terrible. Terrible. Like,
Yeah.
he and Murray, terrible. Absolutely terrible. Like, and you look at those, you know, in some order, him, AG, Murray as like the top 3 players behind Nikola Jokic, and it was just wild. Like, the supporting cast to Jokic just completely abandoned him. It was unfortunate.
Yeah.
It was unfortunate and flame-worthy.
Michael Porter, to me, definitely deserves a ton of blame for the series, but I have a hard time. You talked about Murray and how his regular season impacted the playoffs, and then obviously he was bad in the second round as well. So to me, that makes more sense. It's an all-encompassing story. Mike, it really is about this series, and it's specifically about the last 3 games. Now, those were huge because you win those and anything's possible. But for me, I'm almost more forgiving. Guys have bad games, and it sucks when they come in big moments. That's different. I almost put it in a different box than the other part.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really disappointing. That's just the word.
He also played 81 games.
That's what I'm going to say, though. He played 81 out of 82 games in a year where they really needed him to.
Yeah.
He had some great moments.
Yep.
In the second half, he showed growth. And in the first series, he was legitimately Denver's second best player.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that washes it. He wasn't good enough. Just what a disappointing punctuation on what we were so close to really crowning as a great season from MPJ. And again, though, within the first 3 hours, it's, so who do we trade him for? And I would like to take a step back before we get into that conversation and just say, I always hope that players that are good enough, like champions, for example, just come back and get better.
Yeah.
My favorite title ever, and I know they just lost in the second round, my favorite title ever, and I was rooting for the other team, was the Spurs coming back to beat the Heat. And just like, yo, we're running this back with a mission in mind.
Man, play this anthem.
With a mission in mind. And so we always want to make it about change, but sometimes it can be about coming back and being better. That sounds lame, but that's what I'm hopeful for.
And maybe if there's a silver lining, especially when we talk about the Murray part of this, of like, well, it was different energy when we were the hunted versus the hunted. It's like, don't you realize you're going to always be the hunted now?
Yeah.
That's just the way it works. Like, oh, you thought your title was good? You never beat a 50-win team. That's the new narrative.
Yep.
Is it fair? Absolutely not. But you know what? It doesn't matter. And you have to know that. And I think this was one of the things that, again, I'm going all the way back now to Michael Jordan. But I think it was one thing about Michael Jordan that was a built-in benefit, was he seemed to grasp that for whatever reason, where it's like, yeah, but I got to win another one. And the Nuggets, I think, probably didn't have that. And not because they rested on their laurels, but just because maybe they felt like they had answered questions that just popped up the moment they lost. And by the way, they lost in Game 7 in the final minutes. And guess what? Invalidates everything. And now you're back to you got to hunt again.
And one comment here that I understand why it's happening after that game. Porter is weak mentally. I strongly disagree.
Is it because he came back from 3 back surgeries to play 81 games?
Yeah. It's because he cares and he works hard and he takes responsibility. Does that guarantee he's going to be good enough? No. Does that mean he was good enough? No. So I understand that these conversations are happening now after he came up short. I'm not going to be indignant about people having these conversations. I would just say, don't rule out the possibility that Porter can come back and just be better, because he is not weak mentally and he cares a lot.
And like, lest we forget the maelstrom of personal tragedies that he endured during the playoffs with his family. Like, I gotta think that some part. I mean, you don't know, because right after it happened, he had one of his best series ever against the Lakers. But like, you got to think that there's some part of everything that's happening in this guy's life, sort of start to weigh on you a little bit. Like, it's weird to call him weak mentally.
It is really weird, man. It is really weird. But I also get it. Fans get emotional because he missed the shot as bad as you ever seen.
He was shook.
I
think we could admit that. He was shook. So, but how does he respond? That's the question.
We'll find out. All right, let's take a break. On the other side, we'll see if there's anyone else we want to go on a witch hunt for before hopping in a time machine.
I'm so ready. Dude, I'm ready to burn them all down. You're all getting burned.
Oh, man.
Boom, roasted.
Westera Credit Union, founded in 1934 here in Colorado, with 9 different locations in the Denver metro area. They're all about helping members financially prosper. Education is their thing. They were started by a group of 8 school teachers, so helping others is in their DNA. As a member, you see that come through in every interaction. It's all about the local community with these guys. So check them out, Westera Credit Union. They just launched an awesome new product, Smart Money Checking. Meet the checking account designed to help you earn unheard of interest on smaller balances with great perks. You can earn up to 6% annual percentage yield on your first $2,000 each month. As your balance grows, so does your potential to unlock additional rates for higher balances. So if you like earning money by doing the things you're already doing with your checking account, check out Westera Credit Union. You can go to westeracu.com/smartmoney for more details. Membership eligibility required. Insured by NCUA. Restrictions and conditions apply.
Hey, NBA basketball might be over. Am I right, guys? It's just over. The NBA season is completely over.
Yeah.
Not to sound like I'm hopping on a bandwagon, but I'm hopping on a bandwagon. I've been watching the WNBA so far to start the season.
Who's your squad?
I'm watching the Fever because I'm in on Caitlin Clark. But because of this, I then watched the draft. So I know like the first 8 ladies that were picked. And I think they're pretty good. I'm kind of excited to watch them. Cameron Brinks looked good so far. But let's talk about Caitlin Clark for a second. Because right now at Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place to play fantasy sports, from now until her game on June 2nd, you can use Caitlin Clark and other designated players in an all WNBA entry for a 10% payout boost. For every 3 she hits that night, your boost increases by 3%. When they say other eligible players, if you see a little fire emoji there, that means they're eligible. Playing a pickup game is as simple as selecting higher or lower on player stats like points, rebounds, assists, and so much more. Just gotta have picks on both sides of the matchup. And these picks can get real simple, and you're playing against other players. And if you feel like you have a good feel of the rhythm of the game, you might be able to know like who scores early, who scores late, when do you place these bets. Maybe you can find an edge. Sign up today with promo code DNVR to claim your special pick and first-time deposit. Offer up to $250 in bonus cash. That's Underdog Fantasy code DNVR. Scan the QR code, it's on the screen there, or click the link in the description to sign up today. You have to be 18 or older and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Back here, segment 2 of the DNVR Nuggets podcast. If you're watching on Twitter, hop on over to YouTube where you can join the Toyota chat. We've already referenced it several times in the show, where you can talk to other Nuggets fans about what we're talking about, or just argue.
Yeah. Or even if you want to make sure that we see you calling us losers, that's the only way to do it.
We won't even see it on Twitter.
And if you have a question you want to ask us, you can super chat us real money.
Yeah.
And we will answer the question.
And we'll answer it at the end of the show. The witch hunt continues.
Yeah.
I'm going to also nominate or put out a search for one Michael Malone. Because while you made a very compelling argument, Harrison, that Murray's injury was the first sort of domino to fall, unless we forget, he came into the season injured with a hamstring injury somehow into training camp, and then hurt it 9 games into the season, re-aggravated it. That was kind of the first thing to create a chain reaction. But I also think Michael Malone knew what this season was about. Going into it, everybody kind of knew. Even at the All-Star break, they come out of that break, and what was the word we kept hearing? Guys, we don't need the 1 seed. Like, we just need to be healthy and this or that. Well, they sure didn't play like a team that needed that. The strategy for the year seemed to be one of accumulating wins and trying to go as far. Every year, there is a team that makes the conference finals as a lower seed. This year, there's 2. The Pacers and the Mavs both come from lower seeds. And both won 2 rounds as lower seeds to make it there. Home court advantage probably means a little bit less. The Nuggets didn't approach it that way, in my opinion. So Murray forced his hand, but I think it was a hand he was already willing to play and maybe even exasperate.
Yeah, Michael Malone's number 1 on my witch hunt list, unfortunately.
Whoa.
And look, man, if you're trying to win back-to-back championships, you can't sprint through the whole season and sprint into the playoffs. It doesn't work. Winning back-to-back championships is really hard. It's an absolute grind. There's a reason why nobody's done it since the Warriors 5+ years ago now. And you need to approach the season like a marathon. You really do. And that's why I've said this already this offseason. The number 1 thing the Nuggets need to change this summer, it doesn't have to do with the roster, doesn't have to do with play calls or anything like that. It's their organizational philosophy about how they look at the regular season. They need to totally have a realignment there. And, the Nuggets need to also become way more process-oriented. They were all results-oriented this year. Let's win every game. Let's get the 1 seed. And it bit them in the ass in Game 7 when they completely tired out. And I think that was fitting in a way. So, Michael Malone has to come into next season way more on the same page with Calvin Booth in terms of, I'm going to utilize this whole roster. I'm going to trust the bench even if it leads to a couple losses. I'm going to switch up some of my lineups to, hopefully get better or improve on the bench with Jokic off the floor. I'm going to try some new things there. Because his philosophy right now, I feel like it's a reason why they tired out and were gassed by Game 7.
I also think he got kind of outcoached in Game 7, man. Like, I some of this is, I understand if you have to fall on a sword, one of them being trusting your best players makes a lot of sense. Jokic played a ton, and then Jamal Murray bringing the ball up the floor in the second half. This seems like such a small thing, but why was he doing it? And he got his pocket picked twice. Like, you can also say Jamal just needs to not let that happen. Fair. But also, we watched that whole series, man. One of the keys was not doing that. And I understand the fourth quarter is different than the rest of the game and, like, working in. AG does it here and there. But I thought that very small decision left themselves particularly vulnerable to exactly what happened. And then I thought, the holiday minutes looked brilliant in the first half of the season, but there was something to just the feeling that Peyton Watson wasn't even an option. Just felt like somewhere along the season something was lost as far as opportunity goes there.
I definitely think Michael Malone has to change his philosophy to survive here in the coming years. And I don't even think Michael Malone is long. I did that show with George Karl, for a season, or maybe it was 2 seasons. I don't even remember. It might have been 2 seasons. And I remember one thing, like George Karl obviously knows more about or has forgotten more about basketball than I'll ever know. He's been around the game in some form or fashion for 50 years. But one thing I really took away from listening to him was coaches only know what pertains to coaching and not outside of that. So do they understand how media works, for example? Not necessarily. They just know with relation to how it engages with a coach. Do they understand how a salary cap works? Absolutely not from talking to George. No understanding of it, but they do understand it with regards to we need good players and I don't have them. I think that there is the reality of the Denver Nuggets, fair or not, given the circumstance they're in with 3 max players. You're either going to start trading away those max players, which, look, maybe it's on the table, although I highly doubt it, or you're going to have to just find really, really, really small contract players to fill around the perimeter. Are those players good? Not better than Justin Holiday or DeAndre Jordan. And so that, to me, is part of Michael Malone is going to have to look at this and say, either you're going to have a significantly worse starting lineup and lose some of the guys that you have now, or you're going to have that, but you're going to have to build up other guys knowing that it's going to cost you every year. A lot of antacid you're going to have to take throughout the year because you're going to have to suffer through players that you don't believe in, but you're going to have to learn how to believe in them and to build them up. And that's a challenge that, quite frankly, is not Malone's favorite. It's not most coaches' favorite. But I think the coaches that do well in the current NBA are the guys that seem to have a better understanding of this and an acceptance of, oh, that's just the world we live in, as opposed to trying to fight upstream and say, yeah, but it shouldn't be.
Yeah. For me on this, I really look at Michael Malone's failings specifically in Game 7, like just deciding to ride the starters the entire time. Just Jokic was completely gassed when it mattered. Not having his team prepared at all in Game 6, like the fact that they got blown out the way that they did after fighting back. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like he was always going to play the young guys this year,
Next year?
Yeah, this coming year. Like, it's like, because he just got this huge crop of rookies that are like kind of useless to him. He played Christian Brown. He played Peyton Watson. It was a little surprise. I mean, it was a lot surprising that when the playoffs finally came, the amount of time that Justin Holiday was getting, especially since he basically didn't play all year, and then all of a sudden it was like, well, we can only trust the vets now. And whether or not that's fair, or whether or not the rookies didn't, or I guess the second year players didn't instill enough confidence in him. And you could say maybe that's because they didn't get enough playing time, but I don't remember feeling like they weren't getting a ton of playing time throughout the year. It's just, and maybe you guys remember it differently. But
Peyton got opportunity.
I mean, I felt like they did get opportunity. I just don't think that there was ever a universe where the young guys were going to be meaningfully played on this team. Like Julian Strawther was, and then he got hurt.
The thing is, though, man, playing young guys and young guys having an impact in the playoffs, it's a real thing.
Sure.
Like, anybody who says they can't do that is a myth.
Jaden Hardy's out there. Derek Lively's out there. Ben Shepherd's out there. Miles McBride.
40 minutes a night for the Knicks. Look at the Thunder bench.
But I mean, like,
it's all young dudes.
It's like that's his second year, right? Miles McBride.
Yeah.
It's like the rookies. You know, I mean, we got
Andrew Nembhard's been starting for the Pacers at point guard since a rookie. It's his second season.
It's just young guys.
It's just different philosophies when you look across the league. And like the Nuggets, they just have to become more process oriented in terms of, all right, we have 82 games here. We have 82 games. We probably don't need to play Reggie Jackson all 82 games. Let's give Jalen Pickett 10 games, 15 games.
But here,
and they gave him 2.
And Harrison's even worse than that. I put this out on Twitter today. He played 44 minutes with one or more starter. He played 70. I mean, he only played 130 minutes.
2 games in the rotation.
He played 78 minutes with 0 starters. Like Jamal Murray looks terrible with 0 starters. He's like a -8 on the year with only 1 starter on the court. He looks horrible. Zeke Naji this year played 4/5 of his minutes. Again, did not play many, but 4/5 of his minutes with 1 or less starter. That means he played that means he played almost all of them with nobody else other than maybe Jamal. Now, some of this is natural, it's just the way a rotation works, but some of this is Denver has a strategy of playing their starters' core minutes and then swapping it out, and that strategy I just don't think is going to ever work going forward for the Nuggets, given how their roster is constructed and given how tight the CBA is going to be. To develop those guys, you're just going to have to play them more minutes with Jokic, which means you're going to probably win a couple fewer games. But the truth of the matter is, if you told me we could redo this playoffs, but Denver is a 5 seed, but those guys are very rested, confident, together, and healthy going into the playoffs, you'd be like, I'd take it 100 times out of 100 than being as tired as they were in this one and also not trusting any other guys.
The only thing is that, like, you know, it's Reggie Jackson didn't get a ton of minutes.
Reggie?
When it came down, like I'm mainly looking at like Game 7, like the real rubber hit the road moment. Like he didn't trust anyone outside of the starters, be them veterans, be them young players. It's like it was only all right. These are my guys. We're gonna go. To me, that was the biggest failing. But I mean, I agree.
Like Game 7, to be honest, I do get like tightening up. To
I do
what you
too,
know
but
and trust.
it's just
they were clearly just had no gas
They
for
just
that.
weren't good enough.
I actually think a more rested Denver. We said this the other day, but Yokes played 47 minutes before. He didn't look that tired.
Right.
That was an especially tired 47 minutes for whatever reason. And I think that Game 7 can't be looked at in a vacuum, even though it feels like it should, because I think the Nuggets were out of gas, to be honest, for it. We kept talking about how the Wolves looked hungrier. I think a lot of this had to do with Denver was, for whatever reasons, mentally and emotionally spent in a way where digging deep just meant less for them this year than it did in previous seasons.
Just look at the Lakers series. They looked like crap that whole series, man.
Game 5, we were certain Yoke was going to give us a masterpiece closeout game,
like,
and that game
what is happening? Why do they look like this? Like, why don't they have the switch this year? What is happening? And it turns out they were just dead tired.
They were just dead tired.
Part of it too, though, man. I do think they were all tired. We could see it. There were these little winning plays that KCP and Aaron Gordon make all the time that they just didn't make in Game 7. But also, the guy who did miss 20-plus games then just got a calf strain again. And that might not – I'm not saying that's his fault, but the most significant injury happened in Game 5 of Round 1. Yeah. So I just – like, it is true and astute that they were gassed. But to me, this is why I like that we called it a witch hunt, because I think for the front office stuff, it's a witch hunt. When you're up by 18 in the third quarter of Game 7, and on the other side of it, you'll be favored in the Western Conference Finals. We can talk philosophy all we want, but that's not inevitable. Find a way to win that game.
Here's one take, and people are going to hate this. I'm a little less confident after a couple days of just kind of poking around and talking to people. I'm a little less confident that if the Nuggets win Game 7, they win the title, just because it would have been the halfway point of the playoffs. Maybe. And I think the Nuggets would probably feel pretty
to respectfully, and I'm not trying to like be too. All of our conversations after Game 5, we were feeling pretty good if they had just made it out of that series.
Yep, we were,
and I think we were right to.
100% we were.
So,
but the question is, how was the team feeling? Like, we felt good. But they came out in Game 6 and looked like they actually had used up all their last reserve.
Look, man,
also, Game 5 happened because Yoke played arguably the greatest playoff game ever.
This is you again. I think you guys are right in your observations. I was in the arena and I stuck around long enough. Like I saw some guys leave the arena. We talked to them on to say they were running on fumes is an understatement. But every defending champion is.
Yeah.
And I still think they were minutes away from being the first one in half a decade to make it back to the conference finals.
Right.
And so I just don't know if it was some grand scheme error versus just not winning the game.
All right, let's take a break. On the other side, we have to hop in the time machine. We're all going to have different answers, I have a feeling, for this. How far back do you have to go in time to fix this, to replay it, and the Nuggets would have won
When
the
my
title
mom
this year?
met my dad.
Come do it. We'll do that on the other side.
Carmelo Anthony demanded a trade to the Knicks. Guys, this episode brought to you by Illegal Pete's. Man, I could go for some Illegal Pete's right now.
Oh my God, dude.
If you're in the Springs, Colorado Springs, you can go for some Illegal Pete's now as well. You've got a friend in the burrito business. Illegal Pete's in Colorado Springs, now open.
Dude.
Swing by, join the festivities. Live music,
Bathe in queso.
endless margaritas,
Hell yeah.
and of course, all your favorite burrito fixings. Located in the heart of downtown Colorado Springs. Stop by to be part of this historical Illegal Pete's moment. They're calling it historical.
Would it be historic?
It's
Yeah.
both.
Is it
It is.
both?
It's a historical moment.
Okay.
It's a historical moment in Colorado Springs history.
Glad we figured it out.
Well, I feel the same way anybody talks about. Finish. I'll think of the word.
Okay.
Good self-awareness.
Illegal Pete's. They've got burritos, tacos, nachos, quesadillas. Full bar at every Illegal Pete's as well. Margaritas, beer, whatever you want. Also great outdoor areas too. Illegal Pete's, your spot for burritos, buddies, and beer.
Oh yeah, when people say this team has resilience or they showed resiliency, I always feel like it should just be resilience.
I agree.
And
The
if,
thing about English is if you think about it too long, you're just gonna...
at the end of the day, you're like, why? And you're like, because of a king.
Kurt Vonnegut's like, dude, the only rule is, can you understand me? And then that's fine.
I said that to my mom, who was a English teacher, and she did not think it was cool.
Yeah,
And
I think they disagree with that philosophy. Okay. Oh, I should do the other read. American Raptors play at Infinity Park. I really like Infinity Park. I'm not lying. I've been there. It's lovely. It's in Glendale, and there's a thriving little rugby culture there. Did you know? All the sports are in Colorado, man. All of them. And I actually love that. And it's my favorite part of living in the city, to be honest. And the American Raptors, man, they're a sneaky little treat that I think everyone who lives in the
A
area
sneaky
should know
treat.
about.
Sneaky
a
treat.
little sneaky leak.
They're Colorado's only professional rugby team. They're back, and you can catch their games on ESPN Plus. So not that sneaky. They're on ESPN. And our guy Colton Strickler does a great job covering them on the weekly DNVR Rugby Podcast. You can get that wherever you get our podcasts. You can learn rugby with his 101. You can dive into the weeds if you already know about rugby. He does a great job of appealing to both sides of the spectrum there. The American Raptors wrapped up their 6-game homestand at Infinity Park, and now they're set to return to South America for the last 3 matches of Super Rugby America's regular season. Don't miss out on catching the Raptors in action as they fight hard to make their final push for the playoffs in the 2024 season. Tune in to ESPN Plus every Saturday from May 11th to May 25th. Oh, it's already started. For more information, please visit AmericanRaptors.com.
Back here, segment 3. Kale, fire up the time machine.
What?
Oh, baby. Let's get in the time machine. That looks more like a conveyor, but how does this work? How does this time machine work? We go into the clock.
We're going into a meat grinder.
We're going
it looks
into a
like.
meat grinder. We're kind of, this is, Kale. This is a brutal.
A little dark, Kale,
little
and I
dark,
know we're
man.
down.
Come on.
I
Let's
know
get
we've
in a
been down.
DeLorean instead.
Yeah, the DeLorean was right there. All right, Harrison, I'll let you start. If you could hop in a time machine and go back in time and make it so that the Nuggets win the title this year, if you just provided a little advice or change something, what's the most recent you could go back and save everything?
The third quarter of Game 7.
It's not that far.
I'm just kidding. Actually.
Okay.
I'm gonna go back to the All-Star break.
Yeah.
The All-Star
I think
break.
this is the right answer.
If you remember, heading into the All-Star break, the Nuggets lost 3 games in a row, and it was panic mode
Yeah.
across Nuggets Nation. We were panicking. Well, we weren't, but like the collective we.
Yeah.
We're panicking
The
a little
holy
bit.
we.
And I think Michael Malone was panicking a little as well. Because what did he do coming out of the All-Star break? We called it, statement week a little later. But those first 3 games out of the All-Star break, he was like, we are winning these games absolutely, like 100%. And Jamal Murray got hurt. I think he was already nursing an injury heading into the All-Star break. He got hurt then in March as well. But it seemed like the Nuggets started their sprint, their like real sprint to the playoffs at that moment. We're playing our starters a ton. we're trying to win every game. We had statement week shortly after that. And like that was really an area where they should have been like, okay, we see the forest through the trees. And I feel like they burned out a lot of energy in that stretch immediately after the All-Star break.
I think so. I like that one a lot, man. That would have been we'll see how everybody goes to. But I think that's a very, very good one.
I'm going to go to quarter 3 of game 7.
Halftime or quarter 3?
Halftime. I'm going to go to when they got up 20 points.
That was third quarter.
Just rest Nikola Jokic.
Say take him out.
Give him 10 minutes off. Like, we can lose the 20 points with him on the court or off the court. And then if he comes back and he's a little bit, has a little bit left in the tank, perhaps they can weather the storm enough to just coast to a victory. Like, that's the worst part, is that it was all right there. The Nuggets had everything they needed, and I believe very strongly had they gotten through Game 7, they would have been repeat champions. I just really don't see anybody else that would have given them enough trouble to be able to bounce them. Who knows? But I mean, really, it just comes down to managing minutes in Game 7 and not burning these guys out when you were going to get your last death rattle punch from the Minnesota Timberwolves, which proved to be enough because, again, it's like we treated our starters like the Lakers treated their very old starters, and our very young starters looked very old when the moment became the largest down the stretch. We looked like the Lakers did every game that we played them. Race out to a big lead, get more and more tired, and then by the end you get overtaken by the younger, more spry squad. I cannot believe that same thing worked on us after we just did it 4 times to the Lakers. Fuck me. Fuck us all.
I will say, Yoke was tired in the first minutes of the third quarter. It wasn't like he got tired over time. He came out looking pretty like he was dragging ass. But I get hindsight being 50-50.
2020.
But you go down, if you know that you can blow. Nobody else watches Trailer Park Boys. Since I always drop these gems, nobody ever gets them. But hindsight being what it is, you knew that you were going to blow a 20-point lead with Jokic. So it would be easy to only play him 6 minutes, rest him 6. And even if you blew it, you'd be like, see, square one, we're fine. Now we have a rested Jokic for the last 12 minutes. Hop in the time machine for me.
I think Eric has the right answer. And at the risk of annoying the shit out of Harrison Wind, who I have a ton of respect for, I think you guys are crazy. If we could take a time machine back to when the Nuggets are up 20 in the third quarter, I wish I could straw poll you guys on how inevitable you felt the loss was because of how they managed their minutes.
Trust me, I agree with you. I 100% felt that way. I'm saying from talking later, like the team I think felt like, when we talk about why didn't the team play with belief, the Wolves have all this belief.
I agree.
Why didn't the team dig deep? Why don't they do this? Well, I think there was an internal sense of like, I'm about to die.
I think that was real. I think you guys are right in that observation. I just think you can still win a game when you're up 20 in the third quarter.
They could have, but I'm saying, how do they win a title?
By not losing to the maybe best team in the league in Game 7 at home when you have a 20-point lead.
Man, so we're both going to be split on this too. So you're with Eric. It's just halftime of the game. It's just that.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, if I could fix 100 things, I would. But
that's the most recent you'd go back where you think you change that, they win the title.
Yeah, man, I kind of think it's crazy to go back further than a 20-point lead in Game 7. And I don't know if they would beat the Celtics in the finals,
That's what I'm saying. They would have had 8 more wins. They would have been halfway.
Oh, well, just pack it up. Let's not even bother. Like, you would be favorites against the Mavs. Go beat the Mavs and then be the first team to go back to the finals in 5 years. But I think it was all still on the table. And I don't mean like, I'm not trying to do old sports columnists, like get that shit out of my face, fatigue. I think you guys are right. They were fatigued. But go win the game. Go win the game. It was right there. Maybe that's too simplistic. I'm a simple guy.
I mean, nobody knows this, right? These are counterfactuals. We'll never know the right answer to this. I think I'm with Harrison, though. I'm kind of surprised. I thought we were going to have 4 different answers. We had 2.
I have another answer potentially.
Well, I'll just go. I just want to build off your point, which is I honestly think it needs to be the lesson of this season. Seeding in the playoffs. I hate to be this guy because it's the thing I hate. The regular season matters less than ever. And playoff seeding seems to even matter less than ever. Rest, health, those things are so supreme. And if you could go back to at that 3-game losing streak and now you go into the All-Star break and you're on that streak. They came out and played their best basketball of the year. I think they played better in the 10 games right out of the All-Star break than they did in the playoffs. And what did that show us? That they had that. They just only had so much of it. And to me, if you go back to them and say, listen, guys, the Thunder are going to be the 1 seed. Thunder are going to be the 1 seed. You're going to have to play the Wolves are going to be good no matter where you play them. It's way better to be rested. And then what are you afraid of? The Mavs or the Clippers? Like, you think Kawhi Leonard's going to be there in the playoffs? Turns out no. Just say, like, it doesn't matter. Be the 4 or the 5 seed. It doesn't matter. But make sure that Jamal Murray is 100%. Don't play him to where he plays, then he gets hurt again, then he tries to come back, and he's hurt again. Don't do that. Just rest him up. Jokic, he's tired. He doesn't need to carry the team. You might punt on a Jokic MVP, which would have sucked, but it just say, hey, do what you did last year, even though you're not in position to be the 1 seed. Do what you did last year, which is make sure you are hungry and rested and ready for that playoffs, because if that happens, you already won 1 game in LA. You won 2 games in Minnesota. You can win on the road. You just need to be tired, rested, and hungry.
But the thing is like, none of the other top teams rested going into the playoffs. Like,
none of the other teams played until the final. Played into the finals last year.
None of the other teams played their starters as much as the Nuggets did this year.
Wasn't it just like the starters together?
Yeah,
more so than just the starters each playing but I'd have to look at the data. I don't know. I don't know. To me, it's like, if you rest them, do they lose hunger? Like, do they?
Didn't last year.
Did they rest them last year?
Yes.
Going into the playoffs?
Yeah. No.
I mean, they just like lost a bunch of games.
Yeah, but they played them fewer minutes and set their guys out down those stretches.
I don't know, man. Like, I didn't. Did you get the sense that they were tired during the Lakers series, or that they just like were kind of lackadaisical? That's what I mean. Like, do you get juice from resting? Maybe you do. Maybe you don't. To me, it's sort of like by going into competition and saying it doesn't matter. It's like you actually get duller, not sharper.
Except for it happened the year before.
Sort of. I mean, they were the 1 seed though. That's the thing. Like, they had already achieved their goal, and we all wanted them to get the 1 seed. I certainly did,
dude. Because as a fan, it sucks to rest for a team to punt. I hate when fans root for load management. I honestly hate it. Yeah. I'm saying though, the logic of it is that I think it is what bit the Nuggets in the ass this year was fatigue.
It's possible. To me, it's just like more so.
And injuries.
It's injuries more than anything. But like, I don't know that Jamal Murray gets in good shape if he rests. Like, he probably gets in worse shape if he's not playing meaningful minutes. It's just, I don't know. I just look exclusively at Game 7 when they wore out, and it's more so that they just played the entire fucking game straight. And I don't know how much rest after the All-Star break would have solved.
But they also looked worn out in Game 6. I mean, we just kind of flushed that one because it didn't happen. But I mean, the reason they got blowed out was in large part is because the wheels came off and they were like, we don't have the energy to chase this now. We're down. We went from up 9 to down 17. Like, it's over.
Yeah, I don't know.
The Wolves didn't do that. Like, they were down 20 in the 3rd quarter. And they had the energy to come and chase back.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd be curious. I'd be curious to talk to some of the players a little bit to like really see if they feel that way, that they were just like completely out of juice, or if they were out of motivation, or if they were out like what it was that made them not as deadly and not as, or was it just a simple matter of the fact that they ran into a team that was specifically built to beat them? Like, Jokic was not able to be as effective every single game as he was in years past because he had to deal with the Twin Towers. And then,
for sure, that's a huge part of it. I mean, we're not taking that away at all.
Yeah, like, credit goes to Minnesota. That's implied. Yeah.
Right.
You're right.
I don't know.
What's the other date, Harrison?
April 12th. Do you know what happened April 12th?
They lost to the Spurs?
Yeah.
Halftime of April 12th? I think they were up 20 of that one, too.
They were. I mean, think about if they win that game.
This is actually a great point.
They're the 1 seed.
Yeah.
They don't play Minnesota. They probably get through whoever they play. Maybe it's Dallas, even as tired as they were, because they're just a worse team than Minnesota was.
Dallas did not look good in the first 3 games of that series.
Yeah.
Luka was so banged up. They were pretty rough. They kind of got it as the series went on.
Yeah.
But
and if you look at that game, man, Michael Malone rolled out a 5-man bench lineup to start the 4th quarter in that game. And that was like
That was him trying to rest
the
down the
beginning
stretch.
of the end, even though the starters had blown the lead a little bit up until that point. And I had actually heard that there were like some very prominent players really questioning his decisions in throwing out those lineups, specifically that 5-man bench one. And man, if they had just won that game, things could be way different.
It is funny. I will say this is where I don't think this is speaking out of the two sides of your mouth. It made it a half measure, like doing that, because they didn't do it all year. And then they beat the Wolves, and then there's 2 games left, and they do it in that one, and ends up costing them then. At that point, they'd already sprinted. They were walking the last 10 meters of the marathon. So there's a little bit there. But yeah, it was a strange one. I think that's a good one. We all kind of forgot about it, but that's a good one. All right, let's take our final break on the other side. We'll try to have some fun and ask, who do you least want to win as everything kicks off tonight?
Finally, let's get some hate.
Who do you least want to win the
directed
championship?
at the rest of
know.
the people, not at the Nuggets anymore.
Yeah.
I have no more hate in my heart.
Yeah. Yeah, we can come right back.
We're back.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. All right, it all starts off tonight. The Celtics, the Pacers.
Oh, that's tonight?
Yeah, it started. That's tonight. Dude, the East is so it's the East is just so uninteresting.
I've
It's
been
so
trying to tell
interesting.
you this for years, man.
I can't believe the 76ers didn't do anything this year. If ever there was like
I know.
the seas parted for you to make a move. But the East happens tonight. I will say, Legler today on the All-NBA show really hyped me up for Indiana's chances, which was all I kind of needed. Now he picked Celtics in 6, but at least he was like, people are sleeping on this Pacers team.
I love legs.
I'm definitely sleeping on this Pacers
You
team
can't
for
say
sure.
that and then pick the other team in 6.
I'm in a deep
Legs is the goat.
REM cycle on this
Legs is
Pacers
the
team.
goat. I
Deep
know.
REM.
You guys know who's incredible for them?
Andrew Nemhard.
No, he's kind of was the mark in the last series, but you know who is a legitimate game changer is TJ McConnell.
TJ McConnell,
that
baby.
guy kind of kicks ass. Every game of the playoffs so far, he comes in as like a plus 15. It's the funniest thing ever. Little tiny Facu.
Little try
The
hard.
American Facu.
He is first team all
Dude, he would play 48 minutes on the Nuggets.
First off, little tiny Facu is Facu.
Yeah, it's true. He's
Spanish
the
League
American
MVP.
Facu.
It's hilarious how everywhere he goes, he wins
He
MVP.
is the MVP of every league
That's not
except
the
for the
NBA.
NBA where he's
Uh-huh.
unplayable.
Interesting, isn't it? Isn't it interesting that he
World
wasn't good here?
champions, world champion
I'm saying-
Denver Nuggets.
No, but TJ McConnell also can't shoot or do any of that stuff, and somehow he goes out
He's got
there.
a nice midi, though.
He does not have a nice midi. He hits it, but it's the grossest looking thing
Goes
you've
in,
ever seen
man.
in your life.
Goes in.
Yep. It's nice if it goes in.
But then you've got
nice to
Dallas.
me?
short baseline jumper.
Then you got Dallas and you got Minnesota, of course. So who do you least want to see win the title? Why do I go there?
Go somewhere else.
We'll come back to you. Who do you least want to see?
Boston for sure.
Who do I least
Boston,
want to see?
absolutely.
I think
I'm thinking about the health of the sport. is what I'm thinking about.
Probably. Well, I don't care. I probably Minnesota. Honestly,
Do you really not care?
I actually don't care.
I don't care.
I don't- I
either.
could
Hang
care
on.
less.
You guys can see Pacers, Mavs, Timberwolves and go, yeah, it's fine if the Celtics win.
No, I really don't care if the Celtics win.
I don't either.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything.
Like,
to me.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I don't really
Shake
want
my
the Celtics
head.
to win.
Shake
I
my
actually think
head.
it'd be kind of funny because I would love to see how overrated like Jason Tatum would get.
Oh man,
And
he
Jaylen
definitely,
Brown
it's
would
definitely
get-
his league.
Like I actually kind of want to see how far people go with that.
You want to talk about easiest title runs out? I've got nothing left. This
I
is
know.
all I have. I'm sorry. That's all I have.
It would, I wouldn't lessen Denver's easiest title run ever if immediately after it was objectively an easier title run.
God, look, I don't have much. I'm grasping for straws.
Bet365 top 5 easiest title runs.
Yeah.
Celtics.
Yeah, Indiana with 47 games. They beat. Who else did they beat? Yeah, so they have not beat a 50-win team. You could play that card, I
they
guess.
have-
That 50-win team thing is such bullshit
I know.
because
It's
Of
all
course.
everything is
they
bullshit.
technically they beat 2 50-win teams. It was just a shortened season.
But it doesn't matter.
doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
that.
Yeah, it doesn't
the
the
matter.
Clippers and Jazz both were going to win 50 games that
You
year.
It's
have
more
to-
that the Celtics have beaten the shorthanded Heat and the shorthanded. Who did they just beat? I'm blanking already. The Cavs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. But the
I
thing
don't
is,
blame
it's
you for
like,
blanking on
but then
that.
nobody else could beat. It just doesn't matter. It's like every year.
That's the thing.
It's just.
I know. You just got to win the title.
You just gotta
It's
win the-
whack-a-mole until you die.
You win the
Until you
title.
die,
Yeah,
and
you
then
win the
die.
title, and then somebody finds a reason why winning the title was too easy. Didn't matter.
Jokes aside, if they win, I'll tip my hat. I won't say anything. I won't say anything. I won't say a word.
All right, who do you So everybody says Celtics.
No.
You guys don't care.
I don't care, but I at least want Minnesota to win.
I got to be honest, man. The Minnesota fans, they're relentless. You say act like you've been there before. They clearly haven't been there, and it seems like it.
Don't say that. They might hear.
The Wolves fans, because I told you yesterday, I'm pulling for the Timberwolves, but somehow the mention's still going off.
Well, you trashed the city of Minnesota, is what you did.
They are not upset about that. They agree. They're like you're cut on to something here. We're not gonna lie. Most of them don't even live in Minneapolis. I still I love Tim Conley. I actually don't. I like that team. So to me, they don't bother me as much. But I will say there's a little less luster off of it.
Oh, dude, no. Listen. I mean, come on.
I
cook right here.
I will tell this,
Cook.
though. Wouldn't it set up a great season next year? Nuggets won it last year, beat Minnesota. Minnesota wins it this year, beat Denver. Wouldn't that become the number one? Did you see the ratings? 8.5 million. Great ratings
Most
for Game
watched
7.
second or first round game on TNT.
Down 20% year over year.
Well, but to me, that would set up a great Nuggets Timberwolves all year next year would just be theater.
Yeah, listen, man.
It would be. It would be.
I just, I've been under siege a little bit online. But I don't care at all. Like, it's honestly now in the point in my life, it's actually pretty entertaining. That
You're 46.
I'm 46, and also it's just it's wild to me that the denizens of Wolves Nation look at me as a guy that's keeping them down or just talking about them negatively, when really I'm just talking about the Denver Nuggets and how much I like them, and I don't like anybody that's playing them. But I mean, they've graduated into sort of the Suns territory where you guys are talking a little too much for it being the second round. I don't know that I can reward this behavior spiritually. I don't know if the basketball gods should reward this behavior. There's a lot of little brother stuff. There's a lot of beating. I mean, granted, you did beat the Denver Nuggets. Congratulations. But I don't feel like I want this behavior to be rewarded.
Ooh, see, I have respect for the Timberwolves. I have respect for Anthony Edwards and how they were built.
Yeah.
And
Even
how
Cat
hard they
overcoming
play.
it.
I like Cat.
And their coach and just what they stand for as a team.
They
stand for a lot of the same things that the Nuggets stood for.
Well, it's because it was Tim Connolly. Yeah.
I respect the Timberwolves.
I also think, important preface, because I know we have a whole base of people that don't want to hear this. So important preface, my number one preference was for the Denver Nuggets to ruin basketball.
Yeah.
I wanted them to win 5 straight titles.
They have to make a bunch of new rules.
Other people stop watching them. The ratings go down.
You're actually not allowed to pass from the center position now.
Oh, they ruined basketball. I wanted that.
Kickball, -5 points.
If we're not going to get that, and I was going to try to pretend to be objective from the non-Denver bias, the parity thing in the NBA has been nice. The Denver Nuggets getting their first title was awesome. The Wolves getting their first title the next year, there's something that if you were to somehow step outside of the Denver bubble, there is something objectively good for the league about that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I also recognize every single fan's right to say, I'm never rooting for the team that just beat me. I get that. I get that.
There's no such thing as good for the league, as far as what's good for the league is when I like the Denver Nuggets. I don't give. There's no the Knicks.
For the league might have been
Knicks are good
5
for the
championships
league.
in a row
The
for the
Lakers
Nuggets.
are good for the league.
No, this is disingenuous. We fucking hate when it's the same 3 teams and they all win.
Yeah, I don't want any of them. I only want the Denver Nuggets to win. I don't care about any of these other teams. I want every team to lose that's not the Denver Nuggets every single year.
I want the
But the
NBA
Nuggets
to
are out.
fold the year Jokic retires because he ruined the ratings so much.
And what is even good for
Because
the
he won
league?
so many titles and nobody liked it.
I don't even know what good for the league means. The league doesn't know what's good for the
It's
league.
definitely better for the Nuggets and the Wolves to win back-to-back than the Lakers or the Celtics.
Probably not financially.
Actually, what's
I don't
good for the
care.
league might be
But that's what I
Lakers
mean,
winning 10 straight championships.
That's what I mean. That's what's good for the league in their mind, because it's just all revenue based. What I think is good for the league is when I like the NBA, and I like the
you're happy
NBA
with
when
it.
the,
Right,
when the
but the Nuggets are
Nuggets are
out
winning.
now. So the question is, who are
But
we?
here-
Yeah, fuck the Wolves. Get them out of here.
Lakers.
Look, I will say this on Eric's behalf, and this could be a kind of a closing thought here, Kale. Before we had won the title, winning a round meant so much. We beat Portland, we got revenge. There's something sweet about this year because we got it. And then you lose the next round. It's shit, we got swept and whatever. The Nuggets beat the Wolves last year, and they went on to win a title. The Wolves beat the Nuggets this year. Tip your hat. They got us. But if you don't go on to win a title,
I know, it's
you'll
nothing.
be like, oh, it's not equal. You guys just won a series.
I know, you know,
that's the stuff you talk about when you never won it. So Wolves fans, thank you for tuning in every
know.
single day. Thank you for hopping in. But I'll just let you know, if you beat the Nuggets but lose and don't win a title,
You know what it would be?
I won't even remember this in a
Yeah.
year. I'll be like, who did the Nuggets lose to last year? I don't
That's
even remember.
right.
Was that the year?
This
who
is
was it?
true.
The Clippers?
This
And
is
like, I
true.
won't care. All I'll remember is that the Wolves had 0 championships, and bam, you missed your chance.
And you know,
It was,
and you know what
missed
the,
it.
and you know
I'll
what this run,
remember it a little bit.
you know what this
probably.
run officially becomes for them?
What's that?
Adorable.
Hit the like button on the way out.
We got Superchats.
Such a good
Cedric
finisher.
Exquisite, happy B-Day D-line, my third favorite member of DNVR. P.S. I love how fluid these rankings are. It's like the Sanders children. P.S. Don't pressure me to do drugs. Either way, love you, bro. Wind, nice sweatshirt, my G.
Thank you. Thanks, Ed.
Eva Hathaway. What's bothering me is that the Wolves were the more connected team. Win or
Yeah.
lose, I just want to see connected basketball team again. I agree.
We love connection.
It's our favorite thing. Just trying to
We
connect
love
with
to be
people in this world.
connected.
Christoph, year 4 as a diehard, visited the bar for the first time
Hell
last
yeah.
offseason. Thank you guys for your amazing coverage. Felt like a part of the local fan base, even thousands of miles away.
Love
That's our
that.
favorite compliment.
It really
Thank you,
is, man.
Christoph. Love that.
Because what
man.
do we say? We love connection.
Let's get the
All
next
about
one.
connection.
Hannibal Lecter. Does a healthy Flacco make a difference next year?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep,
It,
100%.
it makes a difference this year.
Oh, gosh darn it, it really did.
We're so back.
Josh Barnett flew down under. That was it, right? Is that Australian?
Yeah, Josh Barnett.
Been a Nugs fan my life now, 18 years, but you bloody legends make the journey of each season
Hell
so
yeah.
much more fun. Also, snake draft season, baby. Love you.
Oh,
Maybe
my
this,
God.
maybe this Friday we might start snake drafting.
Dude, we're going to start snake drafting diehards, dude.
No, we need to snake draft my guys.
Oh,
That's
my guys.
that's gonna be the first.
Oh.
You know what my number one
yeah.
pick is? Josh from Down Under.
Just a full week of my guys drafts.
Oh, I can't wait.
Full week.
Maximilian Schreiner. Bruce Brown is the witch. You need a guy off the bench who just hoops. I think that makes him the not witch, though, right?
I mean, yeah, I don't.
That makes him like the good witch
This-
from that helps you win. He's Glenda.
It's like the Salem witch trials only known in America. Is that?
Yeah.
Probably. So that it just- he doesn't really understand
no other
this
nation was
uniquely American event.
no other nation was
No,
founded by Puritans who then burned witches because they were
That seems like a
afraid.
very American
I
thing
didn't
to have
realize
happened.
that bit was going to be very like.
Well, I mean,
all
like-
Americans understand it.
Yeah, because like another.
Bruce Brown's the witch. I love that guy. You're like, no, that's not.
And other
that's
cultures
not how
go
it
like
works.
the witch. You mean
No,
my
yeah.
aunt?
In other cultures, they have like the Wendigo and stuff.
Bruce Brown. Oh, wait, all right.
Like
Thank
Nas.
you. 55555-ish. Should have been to the 5280 jerseys burning on the witch hunt.
Yes.
Oh, you're right. That is who we should have got.
I never went to see the 5280 jerseys
A
on
Salem
any
Witch
Colorado
Trials
jersey.
not in Salem, Oregon. If you guys didn't know,
Oh no, Salem, Massachusetts.
that's correct.
That's
yeah. A little
in-
geography lesson for people out there.
Yeah, dude. In
Feels
New
like,
England.
feels like a really easy geography lesson if we think about
if you
how
don't,
people
a
came
lot of
over.
our
And
audience, we're finding out, doesn't know about the Salem Witch Trials.
I actually,
Paris, Texas, not the one with the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
that one.
That-
is
that's
different.
I wasn't
correct.
confused about that one actually, but I did. Now I know for sure.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging with us. What a fun show. Who would have guessed it? See you tomorrow.
Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.